All right, we're back with Five Guys and a Bible, and Mark is very excited about the subject tonight. I don't know why, but we have a great subject, and I will say this right from the very beginning. Go ahead and like us. Go ahead and share us. You know you want to. We need you to. Tell your friends. Watch us. Get the word out. But anyway, now back to the subject. The subject tonight, or this morning, whatever it is to you, is Christians and secular music. Christians and secular music. That is, should Christians listen to any music other than gospel, hymns, and those that might fit into the Christian realm? So we're going to start off with Jason Schultz in the top left corner. Jason, go ahead.
I am not really sure why we're starting off with me, because I am not real passionate about this, and honestly, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I always try to have a good opinion, but I'm just not going to jump to one side or the other of this. We're to be in the world, but not of the world, right? And we find some kind of interesting expressions of that in the New Testament with, like, the Apostle Paul, for example. We don't have him mentioning secular music, but he quotes secular philosophers and secular poets, seem to enjoy some popular sporting events and use them as illustrations. I mean, obviously, there was some intake on his part of what we would call secular, or of the non-spiritual nature. At the same time, I think he recognized it for what it was. I mean, it wasn't. He didn't become a secular poet or a worldly philosopher or athlete. I mean, he just encountered enough of those things in order to use them to the benefit of the message of God. Obviously there's some things he avoided. I don't think you'd have caught Paul walking out of a pagan worship center that had temple prostitutes, right? There's going to be a limit. So instead of jumping into a yes, Christians should or no, Christians shouldn't, instead, I just want to say, well, why do Christians do that? Because ultimately, it's going to be a heart issue. And so here's the illustration I'll use right here. I finally gave in to the pressure a few months ago and got an iPhone. It's used, a couple generations old. But here I am using this phone that was made by Apple. It's a pretty liberal, worldly company. It has apps made by non-Christians. It connects to the Apple Store, run by non-Christians. It's serviced by Sprint, a non-Christian phone company. The point is, in every way you would define this is secular. It's a worldly device, right? So what's my defense for owning it or for using it? Well, I mean, it goes to why I have it. What does it do for my benefit? Can I use it in a way that was, even though it was not made specifically for the purpose of godliness, can I use it in a righteous way? Yeah, I think so. And I'm going to make that my standard for everything in the world. We consume worldliness far, far more than I think most people would think. I mean, think about the computer you're looking at us on right now, the clothes you're wearing, we consume things of the world that are not specifically made to be Christian in nature. But if we use those, we make choices and use them for an edifying purpose, I think it's a reasonable Christian use. I'm not going to come out in favor of all kinds of secular music, because there is some stuff that's just hideous, and I'm sure these guys will talk about it, that we shouldn't be listening to. But on the other hand, we need to make sure the things we're doing we can use for an edifying, reasonable Christian use. That's all I got.
That's going to take us over to Troy McGahan. Troy, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate what Brother Jason is saying. My thoughts are this. It's kind of like what Brother Jason said about the heart issue. Why are you wanting to listen to it? Colossians chapter 3, excuse me, and verse 15 says, "And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also you're called in one body, and be ye thankful." Verse 16, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom,
Todd Bryant, you're next.
Now you listen to wretched radio all the time, don't you, Troy? Because you're a good guy like that. Todd Friel, I think it is. Good. It is a good show. Is it a sin? I think the question was a little more extensive when it was sent to us, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was, is a Christian allowed to listen to secular music? Because sometimes when I listen to secular music, I feel guilty. Didn't it say something like that? Well, let me tell you, that makes things a little bit different. Paul does say in Romans 14, I know and am persuaded the Lord Jesus that nothing is unclean of itself, but it is unclean for anyone who thinks it's unclean. In other words, if you think God is not pleased with you listening to, country music, rock and roll music, or whatever, and you do it anyway, that's probably going to fall under the umbrella of rebellion. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I think that's probably what Paul is speaking about there. If you think that something's wrong and you go on and do it anyway, may not be the listening to the music may not be wrong, but the actual act act of rebelling against God, which is what you think you're doing, is wrong. If you feel like that it's not right for you to listen to country music, I probably wouldn't. Country music certainly is a long way from when I was a kid, and you thought George Jones and Waylon Jennings were bad until you hear some of the junk on the radio today. I don't listen to secular music. I can't even tell you the last time that I've listened to secular music. Well, yeah, I bet I can. Last time I ran with my wife because she's got the Rocky theme song on her running playlist there when we're running. But anyway, that's another story. Rocky's okay. I visited the Rocky statue in Philadelphia just a month and a half ago. That's checked off of the bucket list there. But anyhow, as far as, Jason made some great points. I mean, we watch football. That's secular. I was really surprised to hear that Troy did, being that he's from Kentucky. But, I mean, that is a secular thing. We go to the movies. We try not to go to movies that are bad. Yeah, I know you too, Mark. Y'all got a basketball team up there that's better than anything I've seen there. But we do look up the movies on Plugged In to see if they've got a lot of vulgarity and if they're family friendly and these things before we go. We try to use some good common sense. Not every song that's not a Christian song is a bad song. And it may be just a fun song. I mean, Happy Birthday is clearly a secular song. It's certainly not about the Lord, but there's nothing bad in it. Easy example. But I listen to Christian music because I want to be reminded of, the Lord. I want to be built up. So that's the reason that I listen to Christian music all the time. I just don't ever listen to anything else unless I'm running with the lovely Wendy. But other than that, I listen to Christian music. That's all I got.
All right, I'm next. As far as listening to music outside of Christian music, I'd say probably 90% of the music that I listen to is probably Christian music. The other 10% is probably mixed between classical and Broadway musicals, and about 2% of what I catch on the radio when Heather's in the car with me and wants to listen to classic rock or something. And what's always surprising to me is I remember these songs, and there's my lyrics and then there's their lyrics. I sing them what I thought they said, but when I listen to them, I realize is that what I thought was such much more wholesome music 15, 20 years ago really wasn't that wholesome to begin with in many ways. So I'm always kind of shocked when I start to listen to the lyrics and go, oh, man, I didn't realize they were saying that all that time. I don't see anything wrong with listening to music as long as, you watch what you listen to. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient, obviously. So, guard your ears, because if you don't guard your ears, it gets in your heart, and can be a downward spiral. So that's about all I have to say. Just be careful with what you listen to. Junk in gets junk out. So, Mark Campbell, you're next.
They said that I was probably loving this video. Well, let me say this. The Baptist church that I was a member of whenever I became a Baptist. If you went to a movie, it was a sin. It didn't matter what movie it was. If you listened to any kind of Christian rock, or not Christian rock, but any music besides Christian, it was ungodly and you was a sinner. And there was no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, it was teetotaler on everything. And so, but I don't feel that way. I love Southern rock. I love me some Boston. I didn't say I listened to it. I said I loved it. It's from days gone by. I got a couple of those songs on my computer here. I just was playing them for them a while ago just for meanness. But I'm like Troy, the songs put me in a mindset of where I used to be. But you know what, as Troy was talking there, I was thinking, those songs put me in mind of where I used to be. That's almost a blessing, because I can thank the Lord that I'm not where I used to be, that I'm where I'm at today. And so if I hear those songs and it puts me in mind of where I was, I can be thankful that I'm not there, that I'm where I am. So what I used to think was a negative thought, maybe I ought to be thankful for that. But let me tell you this. And I don't know why this is. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's no one else. But I get a lyric in my head, and man, I'll play that lyric and play that lyric and play that lyric. I mean, that thing will be on my mind all day long. And it's the same way with, I had to quit watching Criminal Minds because those situations and those things that were going on there, I had to quit watching it because it dwelled on my mind so much. There's an old Billy Idol song that you hear played at a lot of basketball games and so forth, sporting events, and there's a phrase that they sing in the middle of that song. When I was in college, you was at an establishment, and whenever that song would play, there would be a music solo in there, and then everybody in the whole place would make this phrase. And my mind still, I can't help it. When that song comes on, that phrase goes through my mind. I can't keep it out of there, no matter how bad I want to. I think the last time I heard it, I was with my son at the Kentucky State basketball tournament, and we sitting there, and they was playing that song, and that phrase, no matter what I do, I can't get it out of there. So should I be careful about what I listen to? Well, here's what I got to say. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Would I love to just crank up the Southern rock and listen to it? Yeah, but it's going to cause me not to be able to think on those things that are true and honest and of a good report. I help coach football, and we're lifting weights right now, and they play a lot of that old classic rock. Does it offend me? Does it bother me? No. Do I kind of enjoy it? Of course I do. Hey, I'd love to turn on Freebird and listen to them guitar solos piano solos for about 10 minutes, I rarely do it because I don't want my mind to be pulled away from those things that are honest and just and true. So that's why I guard my heart, because the way my mind works and how I would dwell on those lyrics. So I guard myself against it. Can I turn it on and not be affected by it? Of course I can. Do I guard what I listen to? Absolutely. Of course, I'd love to turn on my dad loved Glenn Miller and that big band. That's secular. Would I love to turn some of that on? Absolutely. I love me some Glenn Miller. My dad, of course, I think I said this one time before, and I think I got made fun of, but my dad loved to listen to Liberace. Can I listen to Liberace? Yeah, I can. And that's secular. But am I going to make that the practice of my life? Probably not. I told you I was going to get made fun of because we used to. Don't you remember when Liberace used to have those TV specials and that big white piano and a white tux and all that? I do. Hey, listen, I love to watch Lawrence Welk. Now, I wonderful. I love music. Do I guard but I rarely listen to it anymore, believe it or not. I rarely listen to music. Whoever made the point about pay attention to what you watch, should not only be music, but all types of entertainment. We should pay attention to that. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and pride of life. They're of the world, they're not of God, and we should guard against those things. So, guard your heart with all diligence. And listen, if it affects your mindset, don't listen to it. Guard your heart. And anyway, I'm going to stop right there and turn it back over to our moderator, the illustrious Dr. Fry.
The illustrious. Wow. All right. Well, with that, Jason's going to add something.
I just think that this would be a great time to offer our viewers an opportunity to send in their Five Guys and a Bible jingle. We need one.
We need a jingle. Yeah. Nice jingle. Yeah. That'd be
There you
good.
go, Carlton. You get with it, Carlton.
I don't even know who half those people Mark mentioned are.
You know, I don't even know what lyric he's talking about.
Mark's only 15 years older than me.
I have no idea what Mark was talking about.
I don't know.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to say good night, good morning, whatever it is to you. God bless. Thank you for watching. Do like us, do share us, send us your questions because we're in desperate need of some great questions to answer. And again, thank you so much. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
My camera froze.